Down, 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 down. Okay, it's not gonna work, is it? I wanted to do Star Wars music, but I can't because thanks, copyright. I'll probably still get a strike for that. Today, we are gonna talk about Renegades coming to Destiny 2 on the 2nd of December. Of course, we've spoken about this before, surprisingly. In this video, though, we're gonna go into, well, a bunch of the changes that Bungie have made to the way that Destiny 2 actually operates right now, and the things that they've said they're gonna be doing in Renegades to improve the player experience, and Bungie have kind of walked back a lot of implementations that they had for Year of Prophecy in terms of power leveling, engagement mechanics, if that's what you want to call it, as well as general progression in Destiny 2. On top of system changes though, we'll go into more detail about actual content for Renegades, how we're going to earn the first lightsaber, a connection between that and the new dungeon, but also Bungie go into further details about vented weapons, a totally new kind of ammo and reload system for weapons, as well as their roadmap plans as we look into the future of the game beyond Renegades. Firstly though, are you always looking for the best deals on new games or store items? Well, you should be, and today's sponsor can help you out. We're talking about Aniba, which is a one-stop marketplace for all things gaming with more than 40,000 digital products available and a bunch of the hottest deals online. Why pay more for games when you can grab anything from AAA games to indie titles at a great discount? That includes Destiny 2, and Aniba has you covered on all platforms with secure checkout, enabling you to grab new releases or titles you've been waiting to check out easily. Just pick a game or item, and then we can see a list of offers and prices with transparent ratings and info on how the product is delivered. Once you add the item to your cart, each transaction is fast and easy. Plus, Aniba allows you to get cash back in your wallet, which you can put towards future purchases. Aniba are rated excellent on Trustpilot for their reliability, with 24/7 support to prioritize customer satisfaction. So be sure to check it out by heading to Aniba/xhoundishx. Plus, right now you can get a juicy additional 10% discount on all games by using code US10Gamer when following my link below. It's certainly worth checking out, and whether it's Destiny, other games, or store items, as well as discount cards, Aniba has loads to offer, so again the details are down below, and thanks to Aniba for sponsoring the video. Firstly, Bungie have been promising a roadmap for the future of Destiny 2. When they initially announced this in the Renegades reveal stream, DMG referred to it as a kind of road to Renegades. We still don't have it, so at this point it's probably more of a road beyond Renegades, and I'll keep you posted if Bungie finally give us the details on when we might expect that. But, of course, for new content in Renegades, it is Star Wars inspired. That means it isn't a one-for-one copy. Obviously, there'll be the expansion story, which looks like it's going to focus on the Drifter, some dodgy stuff that is found going on Mars, and revamped enemy factions, as well as new characters. Then there's the component of us working for these enemy factions to build notoriety and complete kind of bounty hunting-esque jobs, which essentially form a kind of PvE extraction game mode. We'll touch on that more in a moment, but lightsabers are coming to Destiny 2. In particular, there'll be a new exotic one, and this is what Bungie had to say about how we're going to earn it.
And we're calling it the Praxic Blade. Again, we'll be sharing a whole lot more closer to launch. I'm really sorry, I feel like a parrot right now just saying the same thing. But what I can say is that the Praxic Blade is going to be highly customizable in both gameplay and visuals. And so there's going to be a ton of parts and components that you'll be chasing and discovering throughout the Law's Frontier, within the Turf War, within the dungeon itself. And this is all about kind of making the Praxic Blade your own. The blade really does feel truly exotic right now. You can do things with it that no other weapon can do in Destiny, and I really can't wait till players get their hands on it here in a few months.
So as they said, this is called the Praxic Blade, and upgrades for the weapon will be earnable across a bunch of activities in Renegades. That includes the Lawless Frontier content, but also the new dungeon. I've seen some concerns in recent days that means this weapon could be tied distinctly to the dungeon. Obviously, not everyone plays dungeon content. Bungie haven't specifically said that we'll earn the weapon initially from the dungeon, but that certain upgrades for it will be available and found within that piece of content. So it's something to be aware of. If I had to guess, I would assume Bungie will probably have us earn the weapon in the expansion content in general, with additional upgrades being separately available in the dungeon, but we'll have to wait and see. Further on the subject of the dungeon content though, that will drop shortly after Renegades drops, probably in the first week or two. And unlike past dungeons, it will no longer require a separate dungeon key. They also clarified, as early on after the announcement for Renegades, it listed an epic dungeon being available. Bungie confirm an epic dungeon will not be a format for this content, but of course it's still likely that we'll get a normal and master difficulty version of that activity. Otherwise, for the core of Renegades content, we'll get these lawless jobs, and the specific game mode is essentially a PvE extraction style mode, where we'll be loaded onto one of 6 individual maps to assault enemies, survive, and then extract rewards and complete objectives to earn favour with the enemy factions in the outpost. One of the interesting components about this though is that Bungie said there'll be the option to invade other players, or indeed be in a lobby that has the potential of being invaded, and that will increase the element of risk for all players, but the devs did say, importantly, this is completely optional.
You're going to unlock Invasion as part of that turf war we've been talking about. And the syndicates are like reaching out to you and they're giving you contracts to play Hitman against other Guardian crews. So it's 1 versus 3. It's you versus a Guardian crew on the Lawless Frontier. And like we said in the Vidoc, Invasion is 100% opt-in for both the invaders and the defending fireteam crew. But don't worry, because all of the difficulty modes, there's always an option that is available to you if you don't want to engage in Invasion. We wanted to make sure that, because like even though some people love that PvE chocolate mixing with that PvP peanut butter, we wanted to make sure that if you didn't want to do that, there's always an option for you to do something else within the Lawless Frontier.
And then if you do opt in though, there's more rewards or incentive, right?
I mean, yeah, you're like asking, you're basically saying, hey, Fireteam, I'm open to having another Guardian come and wreck shop and mess my day up, right? And so you're taking a higher risk, so therefore there's a chance of higher reward depending on how you handle that.
On top of that, we will earn Star Wars blaster-style weapons, so obviously they have a bit more of a Star Wars visual theme to them, but additionally there's a completely new reload mechanic, with heat-based vented reloads pulling ammo straight from reserves, so obviously this will apply to the new weapons in Renegades specifically, with that Star Wars-esque theme, and this is what the devs had to say about that one.
What we can say about blasters right now is they're new, powerful weapons in your arsenal, and they actually draw ammo straight from your reserves, Dylan. And so the mechanic of this is basically heating up the gun and then venting it out. So no reloading technically, but since you have to like charge up heat and you have to think about overheating, it's a whole mechanic and has its own special reload associated with it. And so it's going to be all about finding like the rhythm of pace and battle between building up heat and venting it. It's really fun to play around with, and the team is really honing in on something like that feels really special and new. It's cool.
All right.
It's cool, yeah.
So there are some cool new components to Renegades specifically. Obviously, whether you like the Star Wars inspiration is going to depend on the individual. But there's another component where Bungie have to support the rest of the live game, progression and engagement from players, which is where we've seen some big kind of U-turns on Bungie's original plans for the new content models. So in case you've missed these updates, firstly, they've completely scrapped the power refresh for Renegades, and it also will not include a power increase. So whatever power we earn right now, we will carry into the new expansion, with the power cap remaining at 550 through Renegades. On top of that, Bungie have also given us a 300 power boost, which is already available in the tower, if you haven't signed in recently. And they've said we have to grab that before Renegades drops, so keep it in mind. But additionally, for players who haven't signed in the previous season, there will be a returner's gift, which is basically a returning player boost, dropping enhancement materials, tier 3 and 4 gear, exotic engrams, bright dust, and an emblem, as well as a 6-month-long XP boost. In addition to that, Bungie will not refresh featured gear, so all of the gear we have from Edge of Fate and the current season will continue to be featured in Renegades, which originally wasn't the plan. And on top of that, they've said that the new gear bonus will be a flat boost for all featured gear, with a maximum of 5% increased damage for weapons and 10% damage resistance for armor. Other than that, they've additionally scrapped the unstable core economy entirely, so unstable cores will not be a thing moving forward in terms of progression. And so in terms of the base grind for the game, outside of the expansion content specifically, Bungie have cut it down very significantly for this next phase of the saga. Obviously there'll be an impact there in terms of keeping players engaged beyond December when we get the new expansion, and we'll have to see if Bungie have any other additions on that front. But outside of these changes, there will also be a big rework of the season hub, where we'll still have weekly rewards, as well as the reward track for the season, but they're introducing something called orders, which are basically bounties that show up, and when we complete them, we'll earn packages with gear in them, as well as bright dust, where we'll easily be able to obtain 1,000 bright dust per week, and an additional category of 6,000 bright dust per season. On top of that, they've said we will be able to farm for bright dust continuously through the order system, although the returns for bright dust will diminish over time. So it'll be efficient to a point, and otherwise there'll essentially be random amounts of bright dust dropped when we complete these objectives. Other updates, though, to the game in general, Bungie had said that they plan to add something called Flashpoint Ops, and this will be in the portal, as a new category which basically features 6-player activities, probably being pulled from previous seasons. They haven't commented on that since their initial announcement, but they'd said it would be added later in 2025, so if it's going to be a thing, we can assume that that will drop when Renegades comes out. Separately, Bungie had said that they've got plans to improve Year of Prophecy raid and dungeon rewards, additional weekly bonus engrams, weekly conquest rewards, and weekly featured legacy raids and dungeons, although they added that they will not necessarily have tiered updated loot. There are the changes for featured gear as well, and then we'll get an increase to vault space and new systems that improve sorting and filtering for gear in the vault. So these will be additional quality of life changes happening in the Renegades timeline. And of course, that leads to the next major update, which will be in 2026, according to the roadmap slated to drop on the 3rd of March 26. So, much like Ash and Iron, there'll be a new reward pass, exotic weapon and ornament, new legendary gear, as well as new and reprised activities, sandbox updates, and more. And on top of that, they'd indicated that they plan to work on a new RAD event. So like we had Pantheon during Into the Live for the raids, and Ride of the Nine, which featured dungeon content, Bungie had said they're planning another event that introduces novelty and allows the team to experiment with legacy raid and dungeon offerings to create surprising aspirational challenges. So that's something else which will be part of the focus for the Shadow and Order update in March. But given that we've had so many different changes, previews of content, I kind of wanted to round up some of the more up-to-date stuff and specific content details. So I hope this video has been interesting and helpful, guys. If it has, give me your thoughts in the comment section, and feel free to drop a rating as well, as that very much helps me out. As I've said previously, Renegades has potential, I think, inside of the bubble of that expansion drop, right? In the same way that most of us played Edge of Fate for the first month or so, and then we'd kind of finished it, didn't necessarily go back because we had all of the rewards. I imagine Renegades will operate in a similar way. That doesn't mean that it can't be good. I do think overall, though, Bungie have a lot more work in relation to the core of the game, whether that's the portal, rewards, progression, and kind of making the week-to-week of bog standard Destiny stuff as interesting as possible for players. I think that's probably the bigger challenge overall. So we'll see what they have to say, and I imagine that the roadmap they've teased will pertain to this, especially given that it looks like it will probably focus on stuff that's coming after Renegades drops now. So I'll keep you posted on that. Share your thoughts as always, and if you want to keep up to date with more Destiny content, hit subscribe and I will keep you posted. But otherwise, thanks for watching, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.